Hello, thanks for coming back for another episode of Ask the Expert. So if you're here not the first time already, you know that we always focus on everything about live shopping, around live shopping, from how do you plan to do a live shopping, how you actually do a live shopping, to what you're going to do after the live shopping event as well. So the previous webinar that we had was with Stephanie Liu, and we talked about 94 ways of repurposing your live shopping event video, and then we purpose it to put it on social media, put it on the blog, etc. And then today, our special guest today is Mike, and then he's an expert in social media marketing as well as SEO. Today, he will be narrowed down a little bit more as in how to repurpose your live shopping content in a bit more SEO friendly way. So if you rather it's on the SEO side, today is the webinar you want to focus on. It's also a really nice way to be less overrun by the 94 ways last time and really focus on what is good for businesses in SEO wise. And I can't emphasize that enough. Everybody's always think live shopping is only happen for that specific amount of period of time, and then all the values are gone after that live. But that is so not true, because you can always repurpose the content, not just to have it on social media, but it can have even bigger value that you can create because you have the recording. So let's not wait any further. I'm going to bring in our guest today. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Helen. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us today. So for those who don't know about Mike, so I've already give a little bit brief introduction about Mike, but Mike, can you introduce yourself a little bit more about you?
Yeah, so I've been in the IT and tech world for almost 2 decades now. I started my first blog in 2011, the Social Media Hats. I've been actually blogging for over a decade, and it's an award-winning blog. I blogged about social media, email marketing, and search engine optimization. Now I've got a second site, Blogging Brute, where I kind of focus on the written blogging side, and I still have the social media hat, and I work full-time for Agorapulse. So I have a lot of hats, but I love talking and sharing and answering questions. So, I'm going to be sharing slides and going through some points. I know you're going to jump in when you feel like it. And those of you watching right now, if you've got questions, put them in the comments. Helen and I can both see them. And I'll either hit them while we're talking or we'll go back and hit them at the end, whatever makes the most sense.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So before we get started for the topic today, I'm just going to play a short video of what is live shopping. And then right after, we will have a mic to tell you guys all about how to repurpose your content in an SEO-friendly way.
Welcome to Livescale, where brands can stand out and sell live. Most brands leverage video, social media, and e-commerce. At Livescale, we combine all three into a seamless, fully integrated white label solution that boosts your awareness, brand engagement, and sales conversion rate. From the moment you start with Livescale, you'll have access to a brand-owned dashboard where you'll have full control over how your brand looks and feels, even which products you'd like to sell live. Your unique event URL can be shared directly to your community, wherever they may be. Newsletter blasts, SMS, or social media. Be bold. Ready to maximize website traffic? Stand out by embedding your live shopping event directly on any website. During your event, benefit from Livescale's engagement features controlled by you in real time. If sales are your objective, Livescale's integrated checkout creates a frictionless experience. Orders occur directly in your e-commerce system, and the customer doesn't have to leave the experience once. No production team? No problem. Connect an iPhone, use multiple cameras, or stream from anywhere with your favorite co-host. Post-event, view analytics in your dashboard. Download a recording for later use, and just like that, you're standing out.
All right, so for those who don't know about live shopping, I hope the little video give you an idea of what live shopping is. It's basically a combination of social media, live stream, and e-commerce all together. So I'm just going to stop talking right now and then let Mike tell you guys all about how to utilize the content to rank higher in SEO.
All right, let's get started here. So have you ever wondered, those of you watching right now, why so many people are creating their own live shopping videos and shows? I mean, doesn't it seem like a lot of work and pressure just to broadcast 30 to 60 minutes of video content? But what if I told you that a single 1 hour video that you broadcast live will generate dozens and dozens of pieces of content that you can use to fuel your content marketing efforts, both on your blog and on every social media network? What if I told you that the combination of just 2 or more of these tactics could have a multiplying effect on your audience, your traffic, your leads, and sales? When you want to learn more? Yeah, I thought so. Well, wait, who am I? Aren't I known as a blogger? I mean, didn't we just talk about that? Well, and why am I talking about live shopping videos? Well, truth be told, I'm probably considered an elder statesman when it comes to live video and live streaming shows. I've actually been doing live video since the days of Google Plus and Hangouts on Air and Blab, platforms that don't even exist anymore, yet were crucial to the development of live streaming in the industry. I've interviewed some of the biggest names in the marketing industry like Guy Kawasaki and Joe Pulizzi, who just came out with the second edition of his book, Content Inc. And I've even interviewed folks from Hollywood, like the producer of Pretty Woman. I've been a guest, hosted my own show, interviewed multiple guests at once, and remote produced multiple live shows, including 2 shows a week at AgoraPulse. And through it all, I've made a point to repurpose as much of that content as I could. Recently, I was the producer for a weekly live show on Fridays called Social Pulse Weekly, which we turn into blog posts, social media content, even a podcast. And I'm also privileged to be a part of the 360 Marketing Squad, an intrepid band of rebellious marketers comprised of Jen Herman, Stephanie Liu, Amanda Robinson, and myself. In addition to running our own private community, speaking together at MDMC, and co-authoring the book Ultimate Guide to Social Media Marketing, the 4 of us also produced a series of Facebook Live broadcasts in 2018 and 19. I'm going to walk you through how I used each of those 10 video episodes to create dozens of additional pieces of ranking content, because I'm going to share how all this content helps to improve your search engine ranking and drive real business results. Because when you begin a live video on Livescale, not only are you unlocking an opportunity for your customers to see your products and seamlessly purchase them, you're also creating an opportunity for engagement. When customers can see you, when they can ask questions live and get responses, they feel heard and engaged and are more apt to buy. They have an experience that impacts them positively, and that translates into more revenue for you. The repurposed content that you derive from that live video, once you've recorded and downloaded it, will have many of the same benefits and effects. From a search engine perspective, there are several aspects of content in your website that Google is looking at to determine what you should rank for and where within the results your content should appear. These are keywords that you use, bounce rate, time on site, pages viewed, and visitors. Now, keywords, that refers to the actual text that you use within your pages and your blog posts, and how your text relates to what search engine users are actually typing in. This is why it's a good idea to make at least some of your videos about the problems and the questions that you know your audience has. Now, bounce rate, that refers to the percentage of page visitors that hit the back button or they close their tab completely without looking at any other pages within your site. So the lower your bounce rate, the better. Now, time on site, that's an aggregated average of how many minutes and seconds exactly your visitors spend on your site. The longer they spend, the more interested they must be in your content, and therefore, the more interested other readers might be, so Google rewards this. Pages viewed, like bounce rate, measures how much of the rest of your site readers kind of click around to. And if you excel at all the above, Google will reward your site with more and more visitors, which actually has a compoundingly positive effect. The more visitors you get who click around and read a lot of your content, the more visitors you will get.
I do have a question for Mike for you.
Yeah.
Sorry for cutting you. I understand these are really important metrics, and I think I've been hearing people say like video content actually make all these metrics look better because like people spend more time on your page, people are more engaged with your content. So result, Google reward you more with that. Is that true?
Absolutely, 100%. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about in a little bit is how to make sure that those videos are placed and embedded on your written blog content so that people who want to watch video, because not everybody wants to watch video. I count myself amongst those who would much prefer to read. But if you've got somebody on your page and they want to watch the video, or maybe even just a portion of the video, that will add crucial seconds and minutes to your time on site metric, which improves your SEO.
I think it's just great that it's always provide more options for the reader, right? You have the text version because like my prefer reading, I'm a very visual person, so I always prefer to hear and then to actually look things that is moving to like have my information. But the great thing about like, for example, having live shopping event video, it's recorded. You don't have to produce the video, so you can also fit the fact that have a multi-format content on your blog or on your website. So I think it's always great to have more option with like the resources is already there, already ready to go, right?
Absolutely. Yep, totally. Yeah. So since we were talking about traffic, the more traffic that you get, the higher Google will rank you and give you more traffic. And since quality traffic helps lead to more quality traffic, it's important to find ways to drive other traffic and awareness outside of Google. I mean, I know many of you watched Stephanie Liu's session on repurposing just a while back ago, and we're going to cover a lot of those same techniques, but from an SEO perspective and goal. So I'm going to be sharing dozens of ways for you to repurpose those live shopping videos that will help drive more and more quality traffic and improve your SEO. Now, one quick note, for the purposes of this talk, I'm just going to assume that all of you watching today are doing a regular weekly live shopping video where you're going to do a demo or interview a guest expert every single week. Now, of course, you can choose to broadcast less often. You can broadcast by yourself or with a co-host or even have a panel of people. Those are all viable options. But again, the assumption is you're doing it on a regular basis. Okay? Technique number 1, YouTube. Did you know that YouTube is one of the largest search engines next to Google? Not only can viewers find your videos and content within YouTube, but the videos themselves actually appear in Google search results. And of course, you can link to your website or specific products from these videos. So leveraging YouTube makes complete sense, particularly since you're already creating that crucial video content. So once that broadcast is finished, download the video file and upload it to YouTube. Every other week, Stephanie, Jen, Amanda, and myself, we had that live broadcast we called 360 Marketing Live, and we sent it to Facebook using Ecamm and Skype. Once it was done, I grabbed the video file, logged into YouTube and our 360 Marketing Squad channel. And there's an upload button in the upper right that I could click, select my video file, and begin to upload. Now, a 30 to 60 minute show is going to generate a rather large video file, so be patient here. Now, while that video is uploading, you can change the title, don't use the default file name, as well as enter the description. Typically, the title of your live shopping video and your show description, that'll work just fine here. Whatever specific products you featured or discussed within the video, be sure to link to them within the description. Select some tags for your video that are appropriate for the content, and when the video has finished uploading, select a thumbnail image. That's just a single frame from within the video that YouTube viewers will see before they begin watching. And it's a good idea here to upload a custom graphic that has the show title on it. I also create that kind of a graphic to pre-promote shows like you might have seen promoting this show on LinkedIn and other channels, and you can use them to create Facebook events. Same graphic works great for the YouTube video. You can choose to add the video to an existing playlist and even tweet it out for some additional exposure, then click on Publish. Now, pro tip, go into your video settings and go to transcripts and review the automated captions that YouTube will have created for your show. And you can then download the entire text of the show as a text file. You can probably guess how we're going to use that later. But that's your first major repurposing. Very critical step. Additional piece of content now, 1. You all know that Slideshare is owned by LinkedIn, right? It's one of the most effective platforms for sharing and driving business. Anna Hoffman, another blogger in my industry, she used Slideshare to drive 250,000 views. And you can too. The trick with Slideshare is that your content needs to be an infographic or a presentation file like PowerPoint. And you're like, but wait, Mike, I thought we were talking about video. And you're right, Barbara, we are. Here's how it works. Open your Google Drive account and create a new Google Slides file. If you're going to do this all the time, I would absolutely recommend customizing a template for yourself so that you can keep your presentations branded easily. But note you can certainly use PowerPoint or Keynote for this step if you prefer. Now, you create at least 2 slides for your presentation, an initial title slide and a closing slide. And feel free to add more if you wish, but your video is going to exist between 2 distinct slides, so you don't need more than 2. And save your presentation as a PDF file. Now, sign into Slideshare, click Upload, and select your new PDF presentation file. Fill in the relevant details that Slideshare asks for and publish it. Then you can click on Edit under the presentation you wish to add the YouTube video to, and click the Add YouTube Video tab at the top of the page, and just pop in the URL from the YouTube video that you uploaded in the previous step. You can place that YouTube video wherever you want within your presentation. Again, if you have 2 slides, it's going to go right between them. If you've got more than 1 slide, more than 2 slides, you can put it wherever you want. You can add additional videos if you want to. And once you're done, click Insert and Publish. And all those videos will now appear in the midst of your Slideshare presentation.
I just want to stop you a little bit here, Mike, because like you just mentioned that to download the transcript method, and I remember that Stephanie in the last webinar also said the same thing. So I just want to put an emphasis here. It's like in the audience, if you have not put this on a note, put this on your note, because that's not only help you to organize what content you have, but also later on what Mike's going to tell you, it's going to be really useful, fundamental for you to develop and elaborate everything that you have from that basic script to do it. And I just highlighted the comment here. I just want to give a shout out to our our VP of Engineer, Maya. He was asking us, should this be in our product feature? So I think that's a great idea that is so inspiring, because we do live shopping and video events, right? And then if you can just download the transcript directly, that could help them to do a lot of things, like according to Mike advice today, to how to repurpose the video as well. I do have another additional question regarding to the YouTube. I like how you link different platform back to the video itself, just to increase more exposure for it. So when it comes to YouTube, you mentioned don't use the file name, right? We should like name something and then put the product links in the description. Is there some tips as in like when you name the YouTube video name, when you put in description, is there some tips that could make it more SEO friendly, or like maybe it just doesn't matter on the YouTube part, especially for live shopping, for these event type, some information that you would suggest like our audience to like, it's better that you do it this way?
Yeah, that's a great question, Helen. I would say to try to keep in mind when we're talking about YouTube, when we're talking about Google, what we're really talking about is search intent, right? People are using these platforms, at least the people that we want to get in front of, because they're searching for something. Well, what are they searching for? That's what you need to think about in advance and make sure that whatever that is, that's in your text. So easy examples are how to, right? People go to YouTube, people go to Google to learn how to do something. How do I fix this thing in my house that's broken? How do I solve this business issue? How do I make this work for myself? And if you have a product, if you're talking about a product that solves for that kind of a pain point, then that's what you need to be talking about in the title and in the description. And the more enticing, the more obvious you can make the title specifically, the better, because that's the first thing everybody sees in the search results and when they're on YouTube itself, right? If I am looking actively for how to hang a TV on my wall, then I'm going to be attracted to the video that says how to hang your flat screen TV, right? Because that just tells me instantly, oh, this is the information that I want to learn. So if you're talking about your products in that kind of a way, that's absolutely what I would try to focus on.
I think that's a great idea as well. All right, so I have finished my questions. I'll just let you continue for your Slideshare and the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're back to Slideshare. So we've uploaded our video. It's in between a couple slides. If you had a specific call to action within the video, like to go sign up for something, to go purchase something, whatever the case might be, I would edit that last slide to kind of reinforce that call to action. And one fun tip is that if you're using Google Slides to create your presentation and you save it as a PDF, the links still work. If you're using PowerPoint or something else like that, and you'll need to edit the PDF using Adobe Acrobat to make the links work. So putting your content on additional channels like Slideshare helps you reach a wider audience. And if some of them watch your video, that increases your video views, which can actually help that video rank higher within YouTube's search algorithm. And every single click and link from other sources helps to drive more traffic and higher rankings for your site. So these extra steps are worth every single minute. So additional pieces of content here, one. Next, pull that video file into, well, you have your choice of apps. I'm on a Mac guy, so I use iMovie. It comes with my Mac. If you're on PC, Camtasia, or whatever you prefer to use for video editing, because you're going to work some magic right now. Tactic number 3, podcast. So you've got that video file inside your video editor. Save the audio as a separate MP3 file because you can use that to power a podcast. You can start a Libsyn hosting account for as little as $5 a month and begin to upload your audio files there. Now, for most live shopping videos, the audio will require minimal editing. It's great to have an intro and an outro for your podcast. Those are just standard bits of audio that you'd splice into the recording that add some branding and standard information to every one of your podcasts. If this was the Livescale show, for instance, we had that great video that Helen played before I even started. That's a wonderful intro right there. I'd put that in there, or maybe insert that as a bumper. You can also choose to edit out any technical issues or unnecessary conversation that might have occurred, and then you're done. And you can actually launch a podcast and make it available on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play with as few as one single episode. However, I recommend that you have at least 4. What we call in the can. That means they're done, they're recorded, they're edited, and they're ready to go. Because you can either release those weekly or you can drop them all at once, and you can ensure some constant activity. Because podcasts, like live video shows, they benefit greatly from a regular schedule that your growing audience can rely on. Now, when you set up your Libsyn account, you simply create a feed for your podcast, which includes the title and description of the show, the entire show, not just one episode. And then you set up that feed to distribute your new episodes as soon as you upload them. This tactic actually results in 3 pieces of content, thanks to the use of multiple distribution networks. And as a bonus tactic, once you have your podcast up and running, it's actually really simple to create a second feed of shorter audio clips and push them out as an Alexa flash briefing. I just made all your devices perk up, didn't I? I recently did this with our entire podcast recordings, which averaged over 45 minutes in length each, but I recommend you only use segments or new short recording, introducing and announcing your latest episode or your new product feature. Tactic number 4, Audiograms. This is going to generate so many cool pieces of content for you. Are you familiar with Audiograms? You might have seen them on LinkedIn, where they seem to be extremely popular right now. They're essentially videos, but instead of using actual video footage, it's usually a static graphic with an audio waveline moving in accordance with an audio clip of someone speaking. Here's an example from my friend Mark Schaefer, and I'll let the full minute play since his advice, as always, is golden. Let me know if you can hear him.
Oh, we can, I think, here.
You can't? Okay. Sometimes the audio doesn't work. I don't know about StreamYard. So he's just talking about what is content shock. But you can see how that audiogram works. It's a video, right, with him speaking in a little waveform. In this typical audiogram, we have a relatively short clip plus whatever other information we want to include on the graphic. People enjoy listening to the recording, and you can provide them with a link to the full YouTube recording or blog post or wherever you wish to drive traffic to. And these audiograms, those can be uploaded to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, even Pinterest. You can see this one's on YouTube. The beauty of audiograms is that they're incredibly easy to make. You can create them for free using headliner.app. That's headliner, one word, .app. You upload the audio file, up to 10 minutes of audio. I prefer to edit out the clip I want to use before I upload it. Select the audio clip out of that clip that you want to use, the section. Choose your aspect ratio, select a background image, which I just make using easel, and you customize with different wave appearances, automatic captions, and more. While most audiograms are made square, you can choose landscape or portrait for use in, say, Instagram stories. In fact, once you finish your audiogram and download it, you can easily convert it into another version in size to easily repurpose the same audiogram elsewhere.
Yeah, and I
With
want
Headliner, yeah.
Sorry, I want to also add one point here as well. I think the great things about audiogram is like, because live shopping essentially it's live, right? So maybe you're not totally satisfied with the visual at that moment, but you do think the soundbite is great. And that would be a great trick for you to still utilize the soundbite as the audiogram. And then maybe you just put like the moving audiogram is nice, and then with some sentence or like product image above in that social media post or whatever you want to put that post with. But you don't have to worry about the visual, where you have a great audio content, but you think the visual might not be fitting with your brand identity at this time, then you can just go with this option. I think that's a really great option as well for more variety.
Absolutely. Yeah. So like if I were Oliver Wellington, CEO of Headliner, and I was watching this and I liked what Mike was saying, right? I could pull out that audio clip and I could pair it with actual pictures from headliner.app, which I'm not showing you the app right now, but you could do that, right? Overlay the audio of me talking through Headliner with actual screenshots or video of using Headliner so that now there's a real strong connection and a strong visual with that. Great point. One of the other things you can do with Headliner, you can pull out one or more clips from your Livescale video and share them out as quick segments. Those could be quotes, answers to questions, or even funny moments from your show. The possibilities are endless. Let's assume that you find one great answer from a guest and you create a 1-minute clip, an audiogram. You can upload the square version to Instagram, landscape versions to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Pinterest, and portrait versions to Facebook stories, that's personal pages and even groups, Instagram stories, as well as TikTok. Yeah, that's 8 new pieces of content. But we're just getting warmed up. How about Twitter videos? Because if you can upload an audiogram video file to Twitter, you can certainly upload regular video. In fact, Twitter supports up to 2 minutes and 20 seconds of video content. It's a golden opportunity to find a great soundbite, intro your interviewer, share a funny segment. Again, your video editing software is your friend here. It'll make it super easy to select the clip you want to share and edit that part out. But before you create that 2-minute and 20-second clip, consider some of the other networks you might want to share that to, as they all have different requirements, like Facebook feed videos. Because technically you can share your entire recorded broadcast to, say, your Facebook page. You can even schedule it as a premiere, which Facebook will treat as a live video, and then make that available on replay thereafter. But there's a big difference in commitment between watching your 1-hour broadcast and watching a 60-second clip. Your audience may really appreciate being able to snack on part of the video before deciding to watch the whole thing. So while you can technically upload up to an hour and 20 minutes of video, you don't need to or want to here. Just consider sharing whatever video segments you create, and you can even spread them out over time. Like WordPulse, for instance, will help you schedule video content to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. So it's at least one additional piece of content. So how about LinkedIn feed videos? Because those same video segments that you created for Twitter or Facebook will work great for LinkedIn. You can upload up to 10 minutes of video to that network. So length won't usually be an issue, though you might want to test sharing longer segments of your videos just to LinkedIn from time to time. Here's a pro tip. Remember how I mentioned earlier how you can download the captions for your videos from YouTube? Well, Headliner automatically does the same thing for your audiograms. But what about these shorter clips? Well, Headliner can help with those too. Just choose Video Transcript instead of Audiogram Wizard for your new project. Descript is another great tool that I know Stephanie talked about for generating transcripts and edited videos. Number 8, Instagram feed videos. So far, you've created one or more video clips that can be shared to Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Since the video was originally recorded in a 16:9 ratio, that's landscape, just like we're doing right now, those segmented versions will work fine on those networks. Now, however, you do need to create a different version of that same clip, because Instagram's feed is all about the square. Within your video editing software, simply look for the option to change the aspect ratio of the videos you created. This will likely give you a selector you can use to make sure the visible area of the video makes sense. Just note that in addition to being limited to a 1-to-1 aspect ratio, Instagram feed videos can be 60 seconds maximum. Be careful to stick to that within your editor, as Instagram will simply cut your video at 60 seconds, whether it's finished or not, making for a poor experience. But you can choose to upload up to 10 minutes of video to IGTV and even tease those new videos in your feed. If you do that, the teaser will still be 60 seconds, but as soon as it ends, the viewer will be prompted to continue watching on IGTV. That's at least one or more pieces of additional content. So how about Instagram story videos? And creating video segments for Instagram stories is a bit more challenging since it's a 9:16 aspect ratio or portrait style. And no, you can't just rotate your video 90 degrees. One option is to use the square version, and it'll simply appear centered on the screen with colored space above and below. Or, if the original recorded video allows, you could try cropping it to 9:16. This generally only works, though, if there's a single person speaking who can still be framed within that box. Either way, it's another great place to share quick segments up to 15 seconds. If you choose the, go ahead.
All right, I just have a remark here. I think here's one point that Stephanie also mentioned last time become really important is when you have this concept and formula in mind, how you can repurpose your video after, then you can do reverse engineer, right? You can make a script that is going to help you to get the exact video that you want. So if you're a single person host, you know for a fact that you want to do an Instagram story, then you might need to tell the host a little bit before to pay attention to the framing, or like if it's more than a person, you have to figure out maybe at this specific moment, because you already know that you want to take that video and utilize it as an Instagram story, then you can tell the host maybe take a little bit of distance. So there will be like a perfect frame that you will need and you will want for your Instagram story post as well. So I think have that in mind, what you can do so you can plan ahead, and also to put that in the script. It's really important because you can't really decide and control what is going to happen exactly in the live shopping event, but you can try kind of direct it and then try to make it to happen in the way that you want, at least to get the 15 seconds clips that you need. And then everything else will be what will be with the audience, right?
That is so true. That's such an important point. We put that into our run and show all the time because you are right. There are certain points within any kind of a video where you might prefer to be able to pull out just that person speaking. So you want them front and center, no distractions. Another point that I've often made when I was producing those shows for Social Pulse Weekly was to make sure that I never put those comments like we did here. Never put it on top of the person who's speaking when I feel like they're making a point that I'm going to want to repurpose later, because then the comment might be out of context, right? So I leave them, full screen, as clear and uncluttered as possible. Keeping that repurposing in mind. Wonderful reminder. Thank you. So and then you're creating these videos for Instagram. And note when I said that you could use the square video, if you upload that square video to an Instagram story video feed, Instagram will automatically put colored blocks on top of it. But if you use an app like InVideo or Wave.video, you could take that square video and you could control what goes above and below it. You could use colors of your own, graphics of your own, text, captions, whatever you want. So even though the live video, the recorded video part is only in the middle, you are creating an entire experience for your viewers. And as an added bonus, you can use all this same content on TikTok as well. So boom, at least 2 more pieces of content. Next is Pinterest video pins. I mean, did you even know that Pinterest supports native video uploads? Up to 15 minutes of video, in fact. So while not long enough for most entire shows, definitely long enough for a fun segment. And you can upload any of the versions you've created so far, particularly if you've managed to create a tall portrait version of the video. How about some quote graphics?
Sorry,
Never
before we go into
Yeah.
the quote graphic, I want to add a little bit on Pinterest, because live shopping, apparently if you're using live shopping, you're e-commerce. And a lot of
Yes.
marketers will know that Pinterest work extremely well for e-commerce, especially when you're home decor, you're a beauty product, because that's where people look for inspiration for the decoration for the new flat or for the next season, for the next festival. So like the fact that you have materials that you can utilize and put it on Pinterest, especially its video, as this is what Pinterest is emphasizing today, rather than photos, if you don't notice yet, this is a great opportunity for you to have a low cost way to put video content out there. And it's just essentially, I think the whole thing that Mike have been going through, it's also a lot about coordination between you and your team. So probably you are not the SEO team in your company that is doing all this, so that you're not working with the Pinterest platform or all the other platform. You really focus on either only live shopping or like the e-commerce sales part. But it's really good that you know about all this now, that you can take this and then talk to your other team and let them know how your work can actually be extended to their area and to create even more value out of it. Because I was working as SEO myself as well before I'm doing this. I've been all the time looking for what kind of content I can create just to have more regular content to be published for SEO purpose. How can I have more like visual so I can take the advantage of video and SEO, image SEO. So they are craving for content, and you have those content. Even just a screenshot from the video could be a great help for your other team as well. So I think this is also another great point to keep in mind with together with Mike's advice to work together with your other team.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, one thing that I did not mention because I haven't tested it, but Pinterest does, support product pins, right? Where you put up a graphic of a product and you're able to dynamically have Pinterest pull the pricing information and availability and that sort of thing directly from the site. I don't know if that works with video. That's something everyone should test. I don't have an e-commerce site of my own to do that kind of testing on, but if it does, that would be brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Because then you've got the video of someone demoing a product, for instance, or talking about the solutions that this particular product brings to the table, and right from that pin, people can purchase it. And it's got the current pricing information, everything right on there. So excellent use of that platform for sure. So we're talking about quote graphics because it never fails. Whenever I have a great guest on a show, I'll ask questions and they'll start sharing the knowledge that's already in their head, and they'll end up saying extraordinary things. Sometimes those things might just be a sentence or two, yet they're simply brilliant. And those statements make for great quote graphics. So as you're editing and re-listening to your video, watch out for those one-liners and make note of them. These might be thought-provoking comments or really impactful statements about how one of your products solves a pain point. Because then you can open Easel or Canva and make one of these quote graphics. You can have these templated in advance, so all you have to do is enter the text of the quote and the speaker's name. I recommend landscape graphics for Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, square graphics for Instagram, and portrait graphics for Pinterest, as well as story posts for Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and whatever other platforms decide to implement a story post type next. And again, remember, every single time we're doing this, it's creating opportunities for us to talk about the show, the products, the content, without saying the same things over and over again, right? If you get a couple of quote graphics, a couple of nice juicy quotes from one live video, there's opportunities for you to talk about that video and that product in a couple different ways on all these other platforms and lead those viewers back to the blog post or the video, whatever you want to do. But tactic number 12, you guessed it, my favorite one. How about an epic blog post and newsletter? I mean, so far, you've already created a tremendous amount of content out of that one video. But here you're about to pull it all together. The blog post is the one piece of content that will live on your website, your property, other than the products themselves. So it's remarkably important, and it's worth taking your time on. But fortunately, it won't take you too long at all. There are actually a number of ways that you can go with the blog post version of your live shopping video in terms of what content's actually included. The easy option, use the title of your video, embed that YouTube video we created earlier, and copy and paste the transcript from YouTube or Descript or Headline or wherever you get the transcript. You can whip up some graphics in Easel and you'll be all set in a matter of minutes. And there's nothing wrong with this approach. But if you want your content to perform better long term, you could spend a few more minutes and try the moderate option. Because in addition to everything outlined in the easy option, consider adding a summary at the beginning that is based on your initial video description. Explain what the video was about, who was on it, what products you covered, letting your audience know up front what they're going to learn and why it's worth their time is a smart play. It'll encourage more people to keep reading and or watch the embedded video like we talked about before. Or you might choose the advanced option. This choice requires more time and effort on your part, but it will absolutely pay off. Because instead of just a quick summary at the beginning, you'll walk through each of the major discussion points from the show and draw them out, pull quotes, share conclusions. You'll create a piece of content that could easily be read on its own without the video or transcript and be just as easily understood. Always include at least one image within your blog post, as well as links to any individuals or resources mentioned in the post. If you're leveraging those podcast channels we talked about earlier, you can embed the Libsyn player and encourage readers to subscribe to your podcast if they like the audio version. I mean, Helen, you said it. Sometimes people like to learn differently. Some people might want to read, some people might want to watch the video, some people might want to put on their headphones and listen. The quote graphics you already made are great highlights to sprinkle throughout your content, even other posts. And once you've published that blog post, promote it everywhere. Don't forget to share the blog post with your email subscribers. Even the smallest list can help drive video views and engagement and ultimately purchases. Oh, there's one other fun bonus trick you can take at this stage of the game. If you chose the advanced option, take that expanded, elaborate blog post and turn it into a PDF ebook that you can offer website visitors to download in exchange for their email address. Brilliant, huh? One last tactic you can employ within blog posts or even in other places throughout your site is click-to-tweet quotes. Click-to-tweet's a quote you pull from the video, and you set up a button that allows your readers to click and have a pre-filled tweet ready to share. They're really effective at getting additional shares and fresh content to Twitter, and they're pretty easy to build. You copy the quote you want to share, and just go to click-to-tweet.com. You paste in that text, the speaker's name, and a link back to your post, and Click-to-Tweet will give you a single short link that you can apply to some tweet this text or button. If you use Social Warfare for your social sharing buttons on your WordPress site, you can also use their widget in shortcode. This is better than just sharing the quoted text straight to Twitter yourself. I mean, you could certainly make use of the click-to-tweets yourself, but so will some of your readers. Now, I recommend using just 1 to 2 click-to-tweet quotes throughout your post. It's been shown statistically that if you use 4 or more, readers tend to ignore those subsequent tweets. Now, in addition to the live shopping video itself, following these steps will give you at least 26 additional pieces of content. The YouTube video, podcast, and blog post, they can be edited and published relatively soon after the broadcast, while the additional content and social posts can be spread out over time, months. You can choose to let the social posts stand on their own. You can link to the YouTube recorded video or link to the blog post, or of course, specific products. I tend to prefer to have all roads lead to the blog post, but that can vary depending on your specific goals and CTAs. The bottom line here is that repurposing your video into website content will give you thousands and thousands of words, which will perform exceedingly well with Google search. And the myriad of other repurposed pieces can help drive awareness and that crucial traffic that we talked about earlier from external sources. As a result, your once live videos can continue to build your website's profitability and product sales. I hope you've enjoyed this, and more importantly, I hope you'll make good use of all the fantastic opportunities you now have to repurpose those live shopping videos to reach new audiences and establish know, like, and trust. And we have time now for questions if you've got anything else that I can help you with.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Mike, for this great presentation. I think it's great to have like a deep dive as in how you can utilize this information in the SEO friendly way, because we talk a lot about how to utilize the content and everyone is so confused. Okay, there are a lot I can do. How can I start? Where do I get started? And the fact that it's really heavily tailored, it's best fit for e-commerce and how you can interact with different platforms. Once again, for example, the method that you suggested, how to use Slideshare to bring people back to YouTube. Or maybe later on how to use Pinterest video to bring people back to a blog post. And because you might think that people who go on Pinterest that is not high intent, you want to bring them to a blog post first before you bring them directly to the product, right? So I think how Mike is helping us to link everything together with just essentially one single piece of recording to create all these to link with each other. And basically, they all act as a sales funnel, right? You turn all the content in different step of sales funnel. And we always say, like, in the marketer, I think they remember it by heart, is that you almost need at least 11 steps to lead to a purchase. And see how easy it is by using the Mike method to use one single piece of content to create way more than 11 pieces of content that's going to help you complete your whole sales funnel. So I think the tip is really, really great. So thanks a lot, Mike, today for this. I do have an additional question that I want to ask. So when it comes to handling normal video content, to repurpose it to SEO friendly or like for any other purpose that you want to, compared to a live video, what would be the main difference that you see when they're handling the content, or is there any different at all?
There are some subtle differences. With a live video, as we've seen here today even, you don't always have 100% control over what's going to be said. Like, you didn't know exactly everything that I was going to say. You didn't put the words in my mouth, right? It was up to me. And so when you're interviewing a guest, you're kind of leaving it up to them. And sometimes that creates a challenge from an SEO perspective, because you may know that because you've done the research, you know what people are searching on, you may know there are specific topics that you want covered, but you want to bring in a guest expert and kind of hope that they cover the topics in the way that you needed them covered. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. So with a pre-produced video that you're doing on your own, you get to say whatever you want to say, and you get to script it out in advance if you want to, and you have just total control over exactly what's included in that video. That also then means you don't have the magical moments that can come up that you didn't anticipate, right? The little nuggets that the speaker or even yourself might come up with during the video. You know, maybe there's a question from your live audience and they ask you about something, or they bring up something. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, my live audiences are pretty smart, and they often drop some pretty cool comments that I didn't think of, my guests never thought of, and those are fun to bring on screen and talk about. So there are pros and cons to each, and I think live is fantastic, and I think the cons to live can be mitigated, right? You can have a great one to show that you and your guest, or just you, have already decided, you know, these are the main points that we're going to make sure that we cover. And with live, there's always more time, right? If there was something I didn't say, you can ask me about it, which is what you're doing right now, right? I didn't talk about the difference between live and recorded in my, kind of prepared presentation. So we talk about it after the fact. And if at the end of the day, we didn't cover some aspect of repurposing video or SEO for video, well, there's always tomorrow. We can always do another live tomorrow or next week or next month that hits those topics.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thanks a lot, Mike, today for helping all of our audience how to repurpose the live shopping event video. And if you have more questions that you want to ask Mike, as Mike has mentioned, he has so many hats, that he has so many skills. He is really knowledgeable in everything marketing related. If you have hesitation on how my business can be leveraged by using marketing, how my live shopping events, the concept, the content, how I can repurpose this that's going to be in favor for my brand marketing strategy, talk to Mike. And just right below the video here, you have Mike and blog, but you'll be able to just go there and then see everything that he writes. If today's talk is not enough for you, go and read every information blog post that he's written there and then talk to him. And if you like a webinar like that it's all thing live shopping from the beginning of the production to post event, you can also visit academy.livescale.tv. We have our free webinar series, and for next week, 17th of June, we're going to talk about how to actually interact with the community during the live shopping event. So the focus is not only in the customer that already make a purchase, but rather than how do you push those people that have never made a purchase and push them into customer. It sounds like what you're already doing every day, but you will be surprised how much budget and thought it only goes into making those people already make a purchase to make more purchase, and then forget those people that is super high potential and utilize, for example, live shopping event to interact with them, to push them to become a customer. So this is all we're going to talk about for our next webinar. So thanks again today, Mike, for bringing us all these information. And thank you everybody for tuning in for this episode. And I'll see you guys next time.